A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, we are back here, and we have an awesome special guest here in the studio, in addition, of course, to Judge Weinberg, who we always have, who we love, and also Craig Eaton. We have Victoria Coates, former Deputy National Security Advisor under the Trump administration, just back from Israel, and has an awesome new book. It's coming out next week, The Battle for the Jewish State, How Israel and America Can Win. Victoria, tell us about your trip, because you literally just got back and all the Syria stuff, of course, exploded.
This was all happening, Rita, while I was in Israel and then Bahrain for a security conference. And the really seismic thing that happened was President Trump's statement on the hostages, which came out while I was in Israel, and it was just what everyone wanted to hear. We've not heard any of this clarity out of President Biden, just saying simply, there will be hell to pay. Give them back. Not let's bring them home. Give them back. And I think that is the message the president is sending. This is not a negotiation. This is an issuing of terms. Those hostages have to come out. We're running out of time, and this is critically important. Then the other thing is Syria, where we have a total meltdown of a country. Assad is gone. He was a horrible, brutal dictator. We can be glad about that, but not at the same time decide that the HTS folk, the ISIS, Al-Qaeda affiliates, are angels in any way. We've got a real bad situation.
These are designated terrorists, aren't they?
Yes, they're an SGDT, special globally designated terrorist group. There's $10 million on al-Ghalani's head. And if you put a $10 million rewards for justice on somebody's head, you've got to find an offset somewhere else in the government. You can't do that. I mean, that you have to budget it properly. So somebody went out and found that $10 million somewhere else. The government doesn't do that naturally.
By the way, did you hear that the Biden administration is considering changing the designation? Are you kidding me?
No.
Sure, because I want to cut a deal with these guys because I think this is the next best flavor.
Right,
That's
devil.
Which
the
Victoria,
devils.
isn't that the most ridiculous thing in the world? There are no good guys here.
No, absolutely. And what they're so desperate for a legacy win, they're saying, they're pretending like they weren't trying to normalize Assad over the last year and a half. They were pressuring the Israelis to give them a piece of the Golan Heights back to get to some kind of deal with Syria. This is ridiculous. And what they've had is just yet another massive security failure, or intelligence failure, rather. They didn't see this coming. Caught flat-footed.
You know, it's interesting. The Biden administration in the last 24 hours, I'm sure you've seen this, Victoria, has been taking a victory lap, saying this wouldn't have happened. In other words, look, Assad is gone. This wouldn't have happened if we weren't putting pressure on Russia, if we weren't 100% with Israel. Is that revisionist history or what?
It's completely insane. They're claiming that they're so tough on Iran. They're so tough on Iran that Iran's selling 1.75 million barrels a day of oil to China under U.S. sanctions that they're not enforcing. This is absolutely ridiculous. They've been enriching Iran. They're responsible for all of this. And they're just looking for a win on the way out the door.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? And what happens? Because Israel's taking out some of these chemical weapons sites. They understand how dangerous this period is right now. And also, is this also time for maybe a deal? Maybe this is the time for a deal even on Russia-Ukraine, because Russia clearly couldn't come to Assad's aid.
No, 100%. And I think Israel clearly has a map of the Syrian army and all of their installations. They're taking them out. They're doing the Lord's work. We're being led, apparently, by a country the size of New Jersey, but at least somebody's taking action. And they've retaken Mount Hermon, which they took in 1973 during that war against Syria. It's basically the highest point overlooking Damascus, gives them a tremendous amount of strategic visibility into the situation. I think they should keep it.
And Israel has the confidence that January 20th, that President Trump is 100% behind them.
Absolutely. And that was really the point of his, I think, first Truth Social post about this situation, where he was really shaming Russia on this and saying, you guys couldn't take care of Assad. So how about you try to get a little bit of your reputation back by making a deal on Syria, which, of course, is Trump's first priority. So I think he's handling this really well.
Yeah. Do you think that a deal, somehow maybe the hostages are going to get released? Is that the sense in Israel? I pray every day. There's 7 Americans, among the 100 that are still being held about that we believe. Is there a sense that now, as John's talking about, the sort of new sheriff in town, and he said, I want to see them released before January 20th. is there hope that maybe that might happen? Almost like what happened with Reagan, you think, with Reagan and Carter?
100%. 1981, on January 20th, the Islamic Republic let those 52 Americans go that they had held for 444 days just because they were terrified of Ronald Reagan. And if Hamas has any smarts, which is not a good bet, but if they do, they'll let those guys go, including, I think we only have 4 live Americans, but yes, there are 7 or 8 that are still there. Let them out now. I mean, this should not be a discussion.
Yeah, it's been astounding, the lack of leadership that the Biden administration. I mean, I can't even remember when Biden has pounded his fist and saying, let them out. I mean, Judge, where is the leadership?
Well, I want to ask Victoria about this. Erdogan of Turkey, or Turkey, or whatever they call it this week, he's a member of NATO. It's a nation-state member of NATO, supposedly our ally, yet they're the ones been pushing this ISIS-related terrorist organization. What do we do about Erdogan? What do we do about the state of play in the Middle East?
It comes back, whom do you trust?
No one.
Yeah.
It's the Middle East. But I think, the real flashpoint is going to be in kind of the northeast of Turkey, where you have the Syrian Defense Forces, which is who we've been arming, equipping, paying for these many years, are in a direct conflict with Turkey. That's who the Turks are going against. So what are we going to do? That's an Obama-era legacy policy that we inherited. We could never make sense of it. The Biden people have doubled down on it, and it always had this inherent conflict built into it. So you have a potential situation in coming weeks where you could have conflict between two NATO members.
Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, real quick, Craig.
I think with a new sheriff in town, I think everything's going to change. The whole dynamic is going to change.
Yeah.
So, we got to stay tuned and see what happens after the new year.
And he's basically the de facto.
41
No,
days,
but they can do it.
Yeah.
But the fact is, ladies and gentlemen, Biden did a lot of harm, and he can do a lot of harm in 41 days. Or at least the people who are moving his chips can do a lot of harm.
Yeah, well, you can tell he's already the president. It seems like when he was over there at Notre Dame,
France,
it was like everybody coming to see him. And meanwhile, you see the picture of Biden sleeping in Angola. It's like, Victoria, congrats on the book. You're going to be with us, I know, for the hour. The book is called The Battle for the Jewish State. And nobody understands it better than you. So we're so happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much.